Hello, friends. Welcome to That's the Tea Book Reviews. I'm Angela, and I am a cover artist. My latest one is Hamlin's Stoop, The Battle of Parthian by Robert B. Sloan. That book just came out on Amazon. Go check it out. That is my latest book cover to be published.
Angela also did the cover design for Down Root. It was
This is
very
true.
pretty. I get a lot of compliments on that one.
Ah, that's good.
I'm Emily, author of the Aurelian Archive series, my fantasy series, and Down Root, my modern retelling of Jack and the Beanstalk. All available. You can click on the links below and get to our websites.
Yep, those are all available on Amazon for sure and Kindle.
Yeah. And we're going to review a book.
We're going to review books and drink tea with you today as per the usual.
Yep.
Today we are talking about the book The Winter King by Christine Cohen. But before we get to that, Emily, what type of tea are you drinking today?
I'm actually taking a break from tradition today, and I am drinking hot apple cider. Cinnamon,
Perfect.
nutmeg, and cloves. That is it fall. And I'm drinking it out of a wonderful mug that showed up on my doorstep called, it's white with the words, "Just one more chapter," in a pretty book with flowers coming out of it. And it showed up after our last episode when Angela found out I only had one mug, and she bought one for me, which was super sweet
It's
of
a
her.
mystery. It's a mystery how it showed up.
Mystery.
It just
The
appeared.
wonders and magic of Amazon. What? Actually, it really confused me because it showed up at work and I was like, what did I order? I didn't order anything.
That's the address I had for you, though.
I know. Well,
Yes.
that's the address I use as my work address for mailing, but it was just like I was trying to like go in my head over anything I had ordered from Amazon and what could this be? Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of tea are you drinking?
I am drinking some green tea. I've been sick lately, but better now. But green tea is good for the immunity, so highly
That's
recommend.
true.
And I am drinking out of a mug I got at Grand Teton National Park. It has the words Grand Teton at the top in a blue bar, and then it has a silhouette of a moose and an elk and a wolf and a bear and a bison. It's very cute.
I need
One
to
thing
get
I
a
like to
South
do.
Dakota mug since I'm
You
here.
do, yes. One thing I like to do on vacation is collect mugs of places that I go. So I may pop up with more in our various videos.
I have like a whole collection from places that I've been because that used to be my go-to. But that was when I was living in an RV and I had limited cabinet space, so I had to stop after a while.
That's
Like,
true.
you don't
That
have
is a
any more
problem.
room.
So tell us in the comments what you like to collect when you're on vacation.
Yes. And if you could
If
take
anything.
like a vacation to anywhere, where would it
Ooh,
be?
excellent question.
Okay, on to The Winter King.
Winter King. So we have a very short synopsis on the back of the book. You know, some books give you a couple paragraphs about what you can expect. Some of them are more concerned with just like a tag or a what do you call it? Something to grab your attention. So that's what this one is. It just says a village trapped in winter, a tyrannical god, and a girl who will do anything to keep her family alive. So not a lot of info there, but enough to be like, oh, that's interesting.
Yes. Which,
Nice
in a
little hook.
way, it annoys me when books do that. With all they do is like have reviews by people that I don't know who they are, and why should I care whether they liked the book or not? I like an actual synopsis. But but this book was good. I did like this one.
Yes.
Especially as a debut novel. It was really well done for a debut.
Is it her debut novel?
I think it was.
Yeah, it's very, very good. It very well could be. I did not look that up, but I believe you. So what the book is about, since the back cover doesn't tell you much, is it is, I would say, fantasy genre, but it's not high fantasy or epic fantasy. It's more just fiction with some fantasy elements kind of around, but like the main character does not have magic. She's really just a regular girl, and her family is very poor. This is a village that I would say, would you say it's like Norse inspired?
It's very Nordic in setting, and the world building is very much Nordic inspired, which I really liked, especially for a winter setting. It worked very well with that. Yeah.
Yes,
Which the
it
world
did.
building was something that I really liked. You could really feel the village and kind of the
Mhm.
cultural elements, even in the like the way that she's describing clothing and stuff like that. And and the names, the choices of
Yeah.
names, very very Nordic,
Hmm.
and you could
Hmm.
just kind of feel that whole environment there.
Yeah, I made a note of that as well. I loved her use of detail to really fill in the world and make
Mhm.
it feel real tangible, I think. Just describing the feeling of things and the taste of things. And I mean, it's most of it takes place in winter, like in a very desolate northern place that
Yeah.
is, just so cold. And she uses lots of different ways to demonstrate the cold and make you really feel
It
like, oh yeah.
She was very vivid in her writing and descriptions, and like really makes you feel the cold and the hunger
Hmm.
of it all, and confirmed why winter is terrible.
Well, if I had to live through a winter like this, I think I would agree with you. Yeah. If I didn't live in a place that was 100 degrees all the time.
Yeah, you could like as you're reading it, you can just feel that cold.
Yeah. I mean, talking about how it's dangerous to go outside after a certain point at night because it's literally so cold that you could die.
Yeah,
Like you have to stay inside.
yeah, so
Like
cold.
that's mhm. So it
An
is about
interesting twist with like zombies randomly thrown in there. I thought like everything else just seems normal, kind of fantasy village setting,
that's
and
true.
then oh, don't go beyond the village because there's zombies. Like what?
Yeah. Because there are possibility of zombies. And
I love that.
also,
Just a random throw in, and it's not like we ever encounter one. There's never an encounter
that's
one
true.
throughout the whole book, but it's just kind of thrown in there. I loved
Yeah,
it.
they're just things like that. There's fantasy elements like that, like the wolves. Like we're not really sure what's going on with the wolves.
I would say it's more mythological
Yeah,
in feeling than straight up fantasy.
it's true.
It's almost more like the blurb on the back, the review by somebody called N.D. Wilson
Yeah,
compares
he's
it
an
till we
good.
to Till We Have Faces.
Mm.
So kind of like more of a fairy tale mythological setting, I would say
Yeah,
with
it
that.
did, and it did feel kind of fairy tale-ish. But so what's interesting about this book is that it very easily could have been a story of how you shouldn't trust religion and how all religion is bogus. But she didn't go that direction, and I really like that. So what the story is about, since we hadn't really talked about it yet, was this village of mostly illiterate people in the small town in the frozen north of this fantasy land. They are under the strict rule of clerics of the Winter King, who is their god. But the thing is, because most people can't read, they only have what the clerics tell them about the scriptures and about the teachings of their god. And that's just all they rely on. And they're under very strict rule of them. And like they're supposed to be the mouthpiece of the Winter King. And they have, the Winter King supposedly comes and visits them throughout the winter and he appears in his temple and everybody like makes offerings to him, but all he never speaks and he never interacts with anybody. So all they know is that he's this scary, imposing figure in the temple that the clerics, speak on his behalf to the people. And so they don't know if they're being lied to. And that's what the main character, instead of just believing it, she is very skeptical about
Well,
things that
it
she's
she
being told.
believes it, but she's come to hate it.
That's true.
She believes it. She has no reason to disbelieve them, but she hates it, and she's mad about her family's suffering,
Hmm.
and so it's kind of a why does a god that's supposed to be good let these things happen kind of idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's true. I mean, I don't think she doubts that the Winter King exists. I think she doubts that he's good.
yeah, that's the whole thing. She doubts that
Yeah,
he's good, and she's decided she's going to stop serving him, even though she has to keep it a secret
right,
because she can't let the village know, be burned at the
right.
stake kind of thing. But I sensed a lot of critique against organized religion throughout it. You could see a lot of historical influences of
Hmm.
the whole idea of the church leaders being the only ones that can actually tell you what the scripture says,
Right.
um, and then using that to manipulate civilization for eons.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because when she's trying to learn how to read, and this one guy who is like, "Oh, women have no place learning how to read," then you start getting ideas and thinking.
Yeah. He is very like Gaston, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So, like, as dark, because the book is pretty dark for a lot of it, but I really
yeah, it
liked
is.
that the character had a lot of agency. She's not just like in her surroundings and her situation, she's actively trying to change
Mhm.
her situation. And we don't always agree with her methods and her attitude, but we can certainly understand where she's coming from, like where her what
Mhm.
her all her motivations are.
Yeah, I really thought she was a likable main character in that, not that she was perfect, but that she was very easy to sympathize with.
Oh yeah,
Because her family has lost her father. She's a teenager. Her father is gone. Her mother, at the very beginning of the book, has just lost her job. So her family is in poverty. It's her and her three younger siblings, and she's, working as a servant and whatever she can do to try to earn money. So I mean, it's a fight for survival throughout
yeah.
this whole book,
Through the winter,
through the
especially.
harsh winter with, very little resources, very little money, very little food to go off of. So she has motivation to not upset the oligarchs or whatever, but at the same time, she wants to know the truth about the Winter King. And so I think in that sense, it's a really compelling story because you're like, yes, go for the truth, but also you're like, but you do have to protect your family at
Yeah.
the same time.
And
So,
then she makes some really terrible, stupid decisions, manipulating other people around her to try to like achieve her goals. But and like you hate her for it, but at the same time, you see that she has regrets and she learns from making bad decisions and causing other people harm, and she's trying then to fix her mistakes instead of continuing in like that same pattern of decision making. Yeah. But one thing I also liked is going back to that one guy is that she actually has sense when it comes to guys instead of like she has a very good head on her shoulders about it and understanding red flags in
mhm,
relationships instead of just letting herself be blinded by infatuation or what she wants to be true.
mhm.
Like there's initial attraction, but as she studies people more and more, like she I like the fact that she is not like blind in her relationships with guys, unlike a lot of main characters.
Yeah. I mean, she has the good guy, right? The guy she grew up with, Peter. And then there's this other guy who shows up and is flattering to her in some ways, although he's also very condescending. But she's, back and forth on him for a bit, but and no spoilers, but she definitely does have some good sense. So I
Yeah.
do like that too. Yeah, for sure.
Just in
Um,
comparison to a lot of characters, especially when there's a love triangle, so to speak, involved. And you're
yeah.
like, why are you such an idiot?
Yeah, it's true. And I also like that not all the clerics are bad. There's one who's very good
Mm-hmm.
and is a friend of her family and truly worships the Winter King and to the best of his knowledge, the best of his ability, and she is able to work with him and helping her discover the truth because like once he realized that his beliefs were being challenged, instead of getting defensive about that, he also was agreed to help her uncover what the actual truth is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a big theme of the book. It's like find out for yourself what the truth is. She learns to read so that because she discovers the actual scriptures that are being kept from her and the people being kept
Mm-hmm.
from the people. And she's like, if I can find out what this actually says. And I think that the author was probably inspired, like you mentioned, of historical things, especially like before the Reformation,
Yeah.
when the time period when it was like that, when the church leaders told you what to believe and you just had to take their word for it because you weren't encouraged to read the scriptures or able to read the scriptures on your own.
Yeah. I sensed a lot of criticism of again organized religion like that, and a lot of historical references to the manipulation, deceit that church leaders wielded throughout a lot of history with that.
Yeah. But again, she does include at least that the good cleric, and also she is not this is one thing that I liked, as I said earlier, that she could have taken that to be like all religion is bad,
Yeah.
Winter King is false, whatever. Instead, it was like he is real. It's just that we've been lied to about what kind of God he is. He's
Yeah.
actually a good and loving God. We just don't know that. Like she didn't know that about him.
Yeah. Yeah, she went a different route than I was expecting on that, but I
Hmm.
really, really liked that route. The
Yeah,
whole idea
yeah, I was
of,
pleasantly surprised.
yeah, people that are earnestly trying to please, as it says on the back, a tyrannical God, but they don't know how
Right.
because they can't access him directly.
Right.
And again,
Because
the
they've been
idea
lied
that,
to.
a lot of these church leaders are being lied to themselves. You know, they're they're earnestly and honestly trying to serve that God, and they're trying to help others, but they too are being lied to.
So it definitely encourages reading the scripture for yourself, I would say.
Yeah.
Not taking at face value absolutely everything, but testing it against the scriptures. So it's a lesson against like false teachers, for sure.
Yes.
Um, yeah, the author is a Christian. This is I really, really liked this book. I couldn't put it down. I read it in a few days. And I just had to know what happened, and I honestly wasn't sure. It wasn't predictable, I thought.
No.
Yeah.
No. Very much a twisting and turning, especially when like the coughing sickness comes and you
Oh my
don't
gosh,
know
yeah.
who's going to be the next one to die.
Yeah. But I liked the twist about that plant. But and I don't want to spoil it, but this something that they thought was a curse because they didn't know any better
Yeah.
on their land was actually had a purpose.
Yeah.
It's like it's all this stuff, like life could have been so much easier if they had known the truth about
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how he actually wanted them to live and wanted to interact with them.
Yeah. And again, I love that, like, closer to the end, after she's, watched her mistakes and seen other people get hurt because she manipulated them into trying to help her. But in the end, and after all that, she decides to stop manipulating other people, and she's just gonna go confront the god directly, like on her own. And I really liked that of she's like, enough manipulating people, enough trying to go around back in ways and be sneaky. I'm just gonna go right up and risk my life for this. And she's like,
Hmm.
if I come back, I come back. If I don't, you know, I
Hmm.
don't.
Yeah. It was really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did not know what was going to happen at that point. I was like, it was very shocking.
Very shocking. Yeah.
Very shocking.
So I believe that is a thumbs up from both of us on this
Yes,
book.
thumbs up. Definitely check out The Winter King by Christine Cohen. Excellent read. Thought-provoking, I would
Yeah.
say. Really interesting, vivid world. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. With some delicious justice served in the end.
Yes. Yes, does it is a satisfying story.
Very satisfying ending to it.
And this is not, as far as I know, like the first in a trilogy or anything, so it is a self-contained story,
Yeah.
which is also nice sometimes because then you're not committing to reading, 5 or 6 books.
Well, you know.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
The Rule in Archives is going to be 6 books, so
No.
you're committed.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. I'm just saying some people are discouraged from picking up the first book of a series because they think, I don't have time or whatever. I don't have time to read a whole series. But sometimes if it's just one book, they might pick it up.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll pick this one up either way.
Yep. And that's the tea on
Yep.
the
So
Winter King.
on the Winter King, that is the tea. So until next time, read books and drink tea.